Love is a great god. Love is the oldest of all the gods. According to the poet Hesiod, in the beginning was chaos, then came the earth, the eternal foundation of all things, and then love. Acusilaus and Parmenides support this claim as well, which really should come as no surprise, as it is commonly believed that love is the source of all blessings. After all, there is no greater feeling in this life than to have a virtuous lover. The feeling of love, more than any other, can guide us toward a good life, more than family, status, or wealth. It shows us those things that we should hold pride in, as well as those things that we should find shame in, and in this way guides our behavior. If a man were ever to be found to be doing anything dishonorable or wrong, truly nothing would pain him more than to be shamed before the one he loves, more so than family, friends, or courts. And in this way, people in love keep each other in check. If there were a state or country run by nothing but pairs of lovers, truly there would be no better run state or country. There would be a level of accountability present, unseen in the selfish, corrupt government officials we have today. But even more than accountability would be a striving towards honor. This would even hold in war. Soldiers in such an army would not leave their partners behind, and, having their partners with them, would be inspired to acts of true courage, as the poet Homer says, breathing might into some of these heroes. Only those in love are willing to die for one another, women no less than men. Alcestis, for example, was willing to die for her husband, even though he had a father and mother who were still living. She caused them to be seen as strangers in their son's eyes, in the way that her devotion surpassed their own with her fierce love. The gods saw this noble act, and decided to return her soul to her from the underworld, a privilege they bestow on very few. It was because of her love that they did this, for even the gods pay particular honor to the courage born of love. On the other hand, in the tale of Orpheus, the gods returned him from the underworld because, unlike Alcestis, he attempted a journey to his beloved while still unwilling to devote his life. The gods said he lacked spirit, and went so far as to give him a death at the hands of thousands of women. The gods show a particular kind of honor to the kind of excellence that comes from passionate love, and is shown through devotion, because the lover has a god within them, and that is more divine than being the beloved.
Love is not singular. There are different sorts of love, and there is a proper way to praise love, but as we all know, Aphrodite is accompanied by love. And if there were just one Aphrodite, there would be just one love. But there isn't. There's two. And so there are two kinds of love. So we have two goddesses of love here. We have heavenly Aphrodite, and she's the daughter of Uranus, has no mother. And then we have common Aphrodite, who's the daughter of Zeus and Diana. And so we have common love and heavenly love. Now allow me to explain the sphere of activity that concerns each of these loves. There is no right or wrong act. There is a right and proper way. And if it is right and proper, then it is right. If not, it's wrong. So filming, thinking, talking like we're doing right now, none of it has an inherent right or wrongness. It depends on how it's performed. The same is true of love and loving. Not every love is deserving of praise, only the love which directs us to love in the right way. Common love is the love of inferior people. They love body over soul, you know, they lust as boys do. They're passive and their action is governed by chance, and they are just the stupidest people possible. See, they don't really care whether it's right or wrong or any of the particulars. This is the love of the young, immature, common Aphrodite. However, the mature heavenly Aphrodite is associated with the mature heavenly love, which is free from hubris. Those in this love are inclined to search out vigor and intelligence. Motivated by this, they would not choose love before their intelligence begins to develop, or at the age when a beard would grow on a male. They would not choose a partner who was too young and easily run off with another person. With young people, it is uncertain how well or badly they will turn out in body or soul. Those inspired by heavenly love, though, avoid this worry because they will always choose someone mature enough. I believe that those who wait until then to embark on a love affair are prepared to spend their whole life with this individual, and to live in partnership with them.
Love pervades all animals and all things on this earth. It influences all things, not just physical beauty. I, as a medical professional, have observed this. I know how great and wonderful love is, how it extends over all things. I'll start with medicine. It is the nature of bodies to have two kinds of love in them. Generally, people agree that health and sickness are two different kinds of things, unlike each other. Different things have different loves and desires. Love in a healthy body is one thing, while love in an unhealthy body is quite another. It's common sense to consider healthy parts of the body good and diseased parts of the body bad. Love is knowledge of the influence of love on the body in respect to repletion and depletion. Being able to distinguish between the right and wrong kind of love is the highest form of medical knowledge. Converting one to the other, implanting love from one place and removing it from another, is the practice of medicine. Asclepius, the founder of this practice, knew how to reconcile the most hostile elements of the body and make them love one another. Therefore, medicine is directed by love. Now, it should be obvious to anyone who's given even the slightest thought to the matter that the same reconciliation of opposites can be said about music. The philosopher Heraclitus spoke of the one and being in agreement while being in disagreement with itself, like the taut bow or the lyre. Of course, it's absurd to say that harmony is composed of elements in disagreement. Perhaps what Heraclitus meant was that harmony is created when elements in disagreement, like high and low, are brought together into agreement through the art of music. The same is true for rhythm. When fast and slow are brought together into agreement, rhythm is created. So in music, implementing mutual love between different elements in all things creates agreement, just as it was in medicine. Music, too, is the knowledge of the influence of love in respect to harmony and rhythm. All the ways in which men have dealings with one another are entirely concerned with either the safeguarding or the cure of love.
It is my belief that people everywhere have failed to understand the power of love. Otherwise, there would be altars, temples, and statues everywhere offering sacrifices to love. I'm going to explain to you the power of love so you can teach it to everyone else. But first, you must understand our human anatomy and the changes it has undergone. Once upon a time, our human anatomy was different than what it is now. First of all, there were not only two sexes, like there are now, but three: male, female, and the third, which has disappeared over time, but the name still survives: androgynous, having features from both male and female, but it was distinct in form. Secondly, everyone was round, all around. They were circles. They had 4 arms and 4 legs, and 2 faces, and 1 head for both faces that faced in opposite ways. They had 4 ears, 2 genitals, and everything else. And whenever they wanted to go somewhere just a little bit faster, they'd push off from the ground and spin round and round in a circle with all their limbs. Originally, male were offspring of the sun, and female offspring of the earth. And androgynous were offspring of the moon, which shared traits from both the sun and the earth. Because they were like their parents, they were round and their movement was circular. They had strength, might, and ambition that were only matched by their limbs. And with that, they attempted an attack on the gods themselves. Zeus wasn't very happy about that. He considered annihilating them by thunderbolt. But then he'd be out of that precious, precious worship and sacrifice. He thought about this predicament and decided, I shall split them in half, making them weaker and greater to us in numbers. And they'll have to walk around on 2 legs. And if they keep at it, we will split them in half again, forcing them to have to hop around on 1 leg. He split them up like an apple and turned each head facing their cut side so they'd contemplate the cut surface and behave more moderately. He healed up the wounds in the skin of the stomach and tied it in knot, making what you and I know as the belly button. Then he smoothed out the surface of the skin, creating the chest. After this, every human being desired the other half and tried to come together again. They threw their arms around one another in close embrace to try to reunite. Many people died of hunger and resigned to to inactivity because they refused to carry on as separate beings. After one of the two died, the other would carry on in search of another to embrace. Eventually, Zeus took pity on them and moved their genitals to the front so that they may reproduce by intercourse inside the body as we know it today. Prior to this, birth and conception were inside the ground. There was no need for this physical union. This was done so that if two people came together, they may gain satisfaction or impregnation and then move on with the business of life. Ever since that far-off time, the love of one human to another was inborn in human beings, with its role to restore us to that ancient time, to take unity into duality, to heal the human condition. We are each only one half of an original whole, spending our entire lives searching for this other half. When we finally meet our other half, we are overfilled with intimacy, love, and joy. Couples like this cannot explain what it is that makes them want to be with this person, desired so much. It is simply they just want to be with the one that they love. It is clear that the soul of each wants something that can't be put into words, but it feels instinctively in what it desires. Suppose God were to ask them what they want from one another. They would be unable to answer. Suppose then he asked, how would you two like to come together, fused as one, even unto the afterlife, remain as one being? This, of course, is exactly what the couple wants, and is what we all search for in life, this wholeness. This is love.
Throughout all of time, those who speak in the name of love seem to focus more on the greater things that people do or say in the name of love, though not love itself. It is more true and right to first praise the God and then praise the things that come from Him. Now it is my contention that of all these things, the happiest beings, the gods, love is the happiest, for he is supreme in goodness and beauty. He is most beautiful in the following ways. He is the youngest of the gods, for his speed outruns old age, and everyone knows how fast old age approaches. At any rate, it comes upon us faster than it should. Love has a natural hatred for old age and never approaches it. An old saying, like goes with like, is right, since love associates only with the young, he must be young himself. Therefore, I cannot agree with some that say that love is more ancient than Cronus and Iapetus. Those bygone events among the gods told by Hesiod and Perimendes were told through necessity, not love. There would not have been castrations of the gods, bindings and chains, or any other force if love had already been among them. There would have been peace and friendship if love had held any sway over them as he does now. So love is young and tender, but lacks a poet such as Homer to demonstrate his tenderness. Love doesn't walk on the grounds or on heads. Heads aren't very soft. He lives and moves in the softest things there are. He sets up dwelling in the characters and souls of humans and gods. If he comes across a hard soul with an inflexible character, he departs. If he comes across a soft soul, he stays. Since love only joins with the softest things, he himself must be quite tender. So he is very young, tender, and supple in form as well. If love were hard and inflexible, he would not be able to envelop an object entirely, or pass unnoticed through an entire soul as he enters and leaves. His gracefulness is evidence of his supple form. Gracelessness and love are always at war. The reason for love's complexion is that he spends much of his time in flowers, but not where there has been no bloom of body or soul or anything else. Now, concerning the virtue of love, the most important thing to remember is that love does not do injustice to the humans or gods, and they can't do injustice to him. Nothing love does is by force, and force is never used against him. Love and force have nothing to do with each other. In all things, we are all willing servants of love, and everything done with voluntary consent is just. In addition, love possesses self-control in a very large scale. Self-control is overcoming the pleasures and desires, but there is no greater pleasure than love. If love can overcome all other pleasures, then love is exceptionally self-controlled. Love is the muse of so many. Anyone touched by love becomes a poet, a creator, a learner. In virtually any aspect of creation, love is a skillful creator, as no one can give or teach what they don't possess or already know themselves. Archery, medicine, metalwork were all discovered under the guidance of love, so the particular interests of the people do not exist until love blooms inside them and makes it a passion.
Is love love of something or love of nothing? Certainly love is love of something, and surely love desires what he's love of. Consider if it's true that that which desires what it lacks. In other words, a tall man couldn't wish to be tall, and a strong man couldn't wish to be strong. It wouldn't be possible. Because they have these things, they're not lacking in them. But suppose that when a healthy man wishes to be healthy, what he in fact desires is the continued possession and presence of his health into a future state, a state that he couldn't possibly be certain about, something he couldn't possibly possess. And so he does in fact desire what he lacks. These sorts of things, they're the objects of love and desire. Most people consider it the case that the interest of the gods is established by reason of their love of beautiful things, because there is no love of ugly things. Now, if we follow this line of reasoning, if love is what he lacks and doesn't possess, it must be that love lacks and doesn't possess beauty. You wouldn't call something beautiful if it wasn't beautiful, if it didn't possess beauty. Can we then call love beautiful? Now, it's quite right to consider good things beautiful, but now we are also in the position to doubt the goodness of love as well. Am I really saying that love is ugly and bad? Why is it that when something isn't beautiful, it must be ugly? When someone isn't wise, they must be ignorant? Well, there is a middle place that occupies the state between wisdom and ignorance. It's called correct belief. Now, it's not wisdom because it doesn't have reason behind it, and it is an ignorance because it does hit upon truth. Similarly with love, we have admitted that love is not beautiful and good, but we have no reason to think that love is ugly and bad. It falls into that middle category, and this is cause for us to question something else. Is love actually a god? All gods are happy and beautiful, and to be happy is to possess goodness and beauty. Since love has no portion of these things, do we cast him from the heavens and call him mortal? No, because like all things, there is a place between immortal and mortal. Love is a great spirit. Deity and humans have no connection except for these spirits. They are what we use to communicate to one another. Rituals, spiritual sacrifice, and all the business of holy men completely rely on these spirits. There are many spirits like this, and love happens to be one of them. Love's aim for attempting to obtain beauty is happiness, and humans do the same thing as love in their own pursuit of happiness. Now, even though everybody desires good things, it's only when that good thing is a woman or a man or a few other things that we actually call it love. What we do is we pick particular kinds of things and only call those love, even though that term should apply to all things, all pursuits of good in humans. We do this with other things as well. For example, the word poetry originally meant creator, so anything that came into existence was called poetry or creation, and anything that was the cause of that was a poet or creator. But we don't call them all poetry or poets anymore. Only one way of creation has retained the original word of poetry. Back to love. When people turn to love in other forms, such as money-making or philosophy or athletics, they're never called lovers or said to be in love, only if they pursue a particular kind of love. And it's often said that a lover is someone who pursues love in a particular way, but I happen to think otherwise. What I say is, love isn't directed towards another half or another whole, but only if those parts are actually good. Because I've quite often seen people amputate an arm or a leg because they believed it to be diseased. The fact of the matter is people only love the good, and love is the desire to possess the good, always.